Okay, I'm going to go ahead and begin this webinar. Thank you so much for joining. It is here morning in Los Angeles. I'm thrilled to be joined by you today and all of you in attendance. I want to welcome you to learn more about our graduate programs in engineering and computer science. My name is William Schwerin. I will be hosting today's informational webinar where you will learn more about our master's and PhD programs at the USC Viterbi School of Engineering. I'm delighted to be joined by my colleagues as well. We will be here to answer questions. So essentially how it's going to work, I'll give a few slides, take about 15-20 minutes, and then we will have time for Q&A at the conclusion of the slides. So if you have a question, please do ask in the Q&A portion. So if you look along your Zoom toolbar, you will see a chat and you will see a Q&A. Chat is what myself and my colleagues use to interact behind the scenes. If you could please use that Q&A for any questions, that is much appreciated. So I will go ahead and yeah, let's begin. So welcome to Southern California. Our university is USC, the University of Southern California. We are a private institution. We were founded back in 1880. We're the oldest private institution on the West Coast. Within the university, we have 23 academic schools and divisions. You're here to learn more about the USC Viterbi School of Engineering, which encompasses 8 academic departments, including a computer science department. But at the university level, we have a diverse student population. We have about 44,000 total students at USC. One unique thing is we actually have more graduate students at USC than undergrads. So more students are here to earn masters and PhDs than undergrads, which is pretty unique. We are located in Los Angeles, okay, which is a part of California, down in Southern California. It's an actually beautiful place to spend time. And I really feel for a young person, it's a great place for a young person at this point in their life to get experience, you know, come to school here. And then, as you can see in some of the images, go to the beach and the mountains, go downtown. There's a lot to do, not only on campus, but outside of campus as well. And our students are very active. Now, one of the areas that is close to us is an area called Silicon Beach. You may be familiar with Silicon Valley, which is located in Northern California. So Silicon Beach is actually located here in Southern California, not too far from campus, maybe about 20 to 30 minutes by car. And Silicon Beach, essentially these tech companies in the Silicon Valley acknowledged how nice our beaches are down here in Southern California, and they opened up a lot of offices down here, and it's a very entrepreneurial area as well as new businesses. Snapchat, they are founded down in the Silicon Beach area. So there's a lot. It's a big hub for the technology. As you see there, we are close to Silicon Valley, which is about a 6 to 7 hour car ride or a 1 hour flight. San Diego is about 2 hours south of us. Las Vegas is maybe 3.5 to 4 hours by car. So if you're tired of whatever you're doing in Los Angeles, you could always take a quick flight or a quick drive over to another city. Okay. I'm going to go through these slides relatively quick, so please bear with me. So our School of Engineering is the USC Viterbi School of Engineering, and Viterbi is the name of an engineer, Dr. Andrew Viterbi. He earned his PhD in electrical engineering from USC back in the early 1960s. He went on to found a number of companies. He co-founded Qualcomm, which is located down in San Diego, and he is a donor to the engineering school, which is why we named the engineering school after Dr. Viterbi. He's also credited with discovering the Viterbi algorithm. For any electrical engineers, you're probably familiar with this algorithm. Essentially, it filters out external noise and interference and allows you to have a crisp signal. So if you have a cell phone, it will use the Viterbi algorithm. If you're into rankings, you know, we like to list rankings just to know and keep you up to date. So if you go by US News and World Reports, we're currently ranked 12th. We typically go in and out of the top 12. So Within the past 10 years, it's kind of every other year we're in and out of the top 12, but currently we're ranked 12th, and there are some other rankings on this slide as well. Diversity is a big thing at the university level and also as a focus for our engineering school, and we're really proud to have a very diverse student population. I'll talk about the numbers in a minute, but these images of students are actually all engineering students, so who are or were a part of the graduate engineering program. Okay, so in terms of some demographic info, at the university level, I mentioned we have more graduate students than undergrads, and the same within the engineering school. We have a strong graduate student population, about 5,500 total graduate students. About 1,000 of those are PhD students, and the remaining balance are master's students. Now, not all of our master's students are here on campus. About a quarter, maybe a little bit less, are online working professionals who are earning their degree via online modality. Within the engineering school, we have 8 academic departments, which consist of 70 master's programs and 13 PhD programs. Research is a big area that our university and the engineering school really focus on. And we have about 45 research centers within the engineering school, not all of which are located on campus. There are some that are right off campus, such as our Center for Advanced Manufacturing. And then we have research centers that are over in the Silicon Beach area that the school does provide transportation to and from as well. Our 8 academic departments, which I've listed, you can now see them here. And within each of these departments, I think the important thing you want to remember is we offer at the master's level a number of specializations. So you can really become an expert in a specialized area at the master's level. Some new programs that I did want to share that are master's programs: biomedical data analytics, advanced design and construction technology. That's a really exciting one within our civil and environmental engineering program. It's really geared toward the built environment. Quantum information science, environmental data science, and health systems management engineering. We have a number of data science programs that we, or I should say the faculty, really pay attention to the trends that are going on in industry and the demands, and as a product of that, come up with a number of programs in which we can create, and then students can earn their master's degree, and we have a slew of data science programs available. I do want to make a point. This is a good time to mention our website. On our website, we do have a lot of content. We try to structure it in the best way that we can, but I do encourage you to get familiar with our website. And if you have any questions, please do feel free to ask in the Q&A. On our website, we do list all of our master's degree programs, which include obviously all of our data science programs. So speaking of the master's programs, as I mentioned, you really have the opportunity to specialize in a particular area. On average, for our on-campus master's students, they can complete their degree in 1.5 to 2 years. Now, the next point that I want to share is really specific to us. Every graduate program, which you're probably looking at, is going to be different. For us, our master's programs are course-based, so we don't require research. Thesis is optional. Okay, in order to graduate, a master's student simply has to complete all the required courses with a 3.0 GPA cumulative or better. Okay. Now, in terms of what we look for in a master's applicant, which I'm sure you have a lot of questions about, hopefully this gives you some guidelines as to what we look for. You should have at minimum a bachelor's of science in engineering, computer science, math, or some type of hard science. Physics is great. It is an online application with a $90 application fee. Official transcripts. So we received a special exemption from our graduate admissions office where your official transcripts do not physically have to be mailed to us, okay? The Turby School applicants simply have to request from their institution official transcripts and then scan them and upload those transcripts into your online application, okay? Resume or CV and a personal statement are required for all master's applicants. Letters of recommendation will depend on the program in which you are applying. Some programs do require, some they are optional. So it really depends on the program in which you're applying, and those degree program pages, which I mentioned on our website, for each of the degree programs available, we do specify whether or not they're required, and if so, how many are required. For any international students joining me today, the TOEFL or IELTS is required. There are some exceptions, but for the most part, the TOEFL or IELTS is required. And a big point that I want to make note of is the GRE. We do get a lot of questions about the GRE. I'm happy to report that as of September 7th, GRE scores are not required for fall 2022 admission. Okay, so you're not required to submit GRE scores. We have a summer undergraduate research program, which is available for really high-performing sophomore and junior students. If you're in the US or US citizens or permanent residents or Canadian citizens, you can qualify for this opportunity. You have to apply for it. There is a pretty strict evaluation process, but it is a really great opportunity and kind of a stepping stone for when you apply, if you decide to apply to a PhD, because it's an 8-week-long summer research program where you're doing research alongside current PhD students and you interact with faculty on a research project. You can get more information on our website at the URL that is listed on the slide. Okay, our PhD, our doctoral program. Okay, there are a few things I want to make a point about. If you're applying to the doctoral program, please do ask questions in the Q&A. On average, for students to graduate, it takes about 5 to 6 years. Okay, the university does aim to fully fund our PhD student. And I didn't mention that about master's. Master's funding is quite limited. I'll talk about that in a little bit. The PhD funding, the university does aim to fully fund the PhD students. Admission decisions are made by faculty committees within each department. Okay, I'm going to skip to the next slide just to show you a little bit about our research, and then I'll talk about what really is looked for in a PhD applicant. So as you can see here, and as I mentioned earlier, research is a really strong point for the engineering school. And within each of our departments, there's a number of research areas, and this only lists some of them, but there is a number of research areas that are available for PhD students, as you can see here. Okay, so in terms of what we look for in a PhD applicant, at minimum, you will need to have a bachelor's of science in either engineering, computer science, math, or again, some type of hard science, physics perhaps. It's not required to have a master's degree to apply to the PhD. If you do, that's great. But at minimum, you should have that bachelor's. Where it plays a role, something more that plays a role is really research, and I'll talk about that in a minute. It's the same online application with a $90 application fee. Official transcripts, it's the same as a master's applicant, where you have to scan and upload them into your online application. You should have a CV or a resume that you need to attach. Supplemental materials. Personal statement is required. 3 letters of recommendation are required for all PhD applicants. And finally, demonstrated research ability. So it's very important for a PhD applicant to have previous research experience. Your previous research experience does not have to correlate to what you want to pursue as a PhD student, but you should have experience working in a lab. 1 to 2 of your letters of rec should come from someone who supervised you in a research lab setting, so they can talk about you as a researcher. For international students, TOEFL or IELTS, again, is required. And in terms of GRE, again, GRE scores are not required for fall 2022 admission for our master's and for the PhD programs. Now, faculty committees are going to look at a few things. It's important for the personal statement, I would say, to talk about your previous research experience. You can talk about the research you're interested in doing. You should have knowledge of current research taking place within the Viterbi School of Engineering, and also list faculty that you're interested potentially in working with. So just kind of keep those things in mind. Some important deadlines. You will need to submit all the materials and have all the materials submitted by these deadlines. Okay, so for our master's programs, we actually have 2 deadlines. We have a scholarship deadline and a final deadline. If you want to be considered for the December 15th for our scholarship deadline, all your materials must be submitted by this deadline. Okay, and I'll talk about what scholarships those are associated with in a minute. The absolute final deadline to submit your master's application is January 15th. Our PhD program only has one deadline. So be sure, if you're applying to the PhD program, to have your application and all your materials in by December 15th. That is a hard deadline. It is not extended. So please do get your application in by December 15th if you are applying to the PhD program. Okay, so tuition and scholarships. So this is a breakdown of a typical 28-unit master's program. So for example, this could be computer science. We stretched it out across 4 semesters. We do this just to give you an idea of total cost for the entire master's program. And there you see there, approximate total cost for the 2 years is around $63,527. Please do note that traditionally the university does increase tuition slightly every year. So this is an approximation, but it will be roughly around this for the total cost tuition of the degree. Now, scholarships. So I mentioned that December 15th scholarship early deadline of December 15th. Now, that is associated with these scholarships listed here. So our Dean Scholarship is a partial scholarship available to all students, whether you're international or a US citizen, doesn't matter. All students are potentially qualified for this, or have the opportunity, I should say, to earn a Dean Scholarship. It is limited. They are merit-based awards. There is an interview process. However, they do provide partial tuition, okay? Anywhere from $5,000 to $20,000, which is roughly around 1 to 3 classes. Endowed scholarships are provided to us by donors, and they do have a little bit more specification in terms of what is required. I do want to point out our URL that is listed there. If you go to the viterbi.usc.edu/grad scholarships, you can read more about these scholarships and the background information, for example, in our endowed scholarships that's required. But we do have a web page that is dedicated to listing out and explaining kind of the scholarship process. Another opportunity that's available specifically for students applying to computer science, electrical and computer engineering and data science programs is this ISI Rising Star internship. It's a really awesome opportunity for students to do research, get paid for it at one of our top research centers, our Information Sciences Institute. We offer this to, again, students who apply by this December 15th deadline. So definitely be sure to keep an eye out for this, and we will ask you if you're interested in applying for this. Internships and careers. So at the university level and within the engineering school, we have career offices. When students graduate, unfortunately, we do not place students directly into jobs. So it's a little bit tricky for us to gather the data. We do our best, and we survey all of our graduating students. And unfortunately, we don't get a 100% response to the survey, but we do get a fairly good response from students. And we try to put this into a visual representation for you on our website. So if you go to each of our degree program pages, we'll have what's called a facts and figures sheet, which you can kind of see where some of the students have either earned jobs, average starting salary, things of that nature, as well as other demographic information about the department and the students in the department. Our career offices are great, and I definitely encourage students to take advantage and visit our career offices, because they do host not only career fairs, but they also offer workshops for resume writing, interview prep, salary negotiation. They're a really great resource for our students. Okay, so we're getting into the question and answer area. So these are some of the frequently asked questions that I want to focus on right now that we receive a lot of questions about. Teaching and research assistantships. Are they available for master's students? I will say that it is limited, in our teaching and research assistantships are reserved for PhD students, okay? Our computer science department and electrical and computer engineering department, they have honors programs, essentially, which highly qualified master's students potentially can qualify for something similar, like a teaching assistantship, but these honors programs are very, very rare. Typically for on-campus jobs, master's students can apply for any number of on-campus jobs available, such as bookstore, computer lab, or administrative positions. If you're a non-engineering major, how do you know if you're eligible? Well, again, going to our website, every program has a specific page, and we list out application criteria for each of these non-engineering major programs. So definitely check out our degree programs page for non-engineering majors. We have a page dedicated to that. If that's something that is you, definitely contact us. We can send you the direct link for that. I want to point out our student ambassadors because they are great. They have been in your shoes. They know what it's like to scout graduate programs. They have made the leap and come to USC in the engineering school, and they want to give back, and they're really great. So I definitely encourage you to chat with our current graduate student ambassadors, because they do have a lot of great insight, not only into classes, but just what it's like as a graduate student. Okay. Some other resources, you may want to take a snapshot of this. These are just direct links to really helpful pages on our website. So just keep that in mind. And I do want to get to Q&A because we have a great turnout today. So I do want to allow time for questions. So please excuse any pause while I go through the list of questions. And while I'm answering questions, I'll ask my colleagues also to go ahead and answer some questions that come in the chat. Feel free to type out the questions, but I'm going to try to answer some of the more commonly asked questions that I see coming in. So if you hear a pause, just know that I'm scrolling through.